All right, what's going on, guys? So, it's a beautiful winter day here in New Jersey. We're going to be looking at some fig tree care tips in the winter in colder climates. Some things you can do with them in the pot and in ground. So let's get started and start the video. All right, so guys, here we're looking at our Colonel Littman's Black Cross fig tree. This is being grown in a pot. So there's different things you can do when growing in pots and in ground. So when growing fig trees in pots in colder climates, one of the things you can do is actually leave them in the pot for most of the year. And this fig wood is actually cold hardy to 12 degrees Fahrenheit about. Some varieties are a little more cold tolerant, like the Chicago Hardy has been recorded at 5 degrees to survive. But one thing that is pretty standard is that the roots of fig trees down here in these pots can only tolerate no colder than 15 degrees Fahrenheit is what all the studies show. So they can sit out here. So we haven't even gotten below 28. So these trees have been fine sitting out here. The only time I'll need to bring these in if we do get some temperatures that are dipping below 20 degrees, I probably will want to bring these into a garage or a shed to keep them protected from the elements and try to keep them heated so the roots don't die. Me personally, you know, things like my Smith tree is in the garage, we'll show you guys later. These need to be more protected. So you can leave your trees out here as long as we're not getting below 15 degrees Fahrenheit. I would probably use 20 degrees Fahrenheit as a safer bet. But they can sit out here, and you can see I have a couple trees and more back there that are sitting out. Again, if we come over here to some of our trees that are sitting out, we have a lot of them here's our Black Madeira, just sitting here. And listen, we'll bring them in when it gets cold enough, but we don't need to for right now. So something else you guys can do too, which is interesting. So if you're growing your figs in the ground, I have a few in the ground that we'll go see in a second. Dependent upon the variety, you don't need to even wrap them. At least where I am in South Jersey, zone 7A. But so that's kind of the potted tree care. Those are the things you need to know for the pots. All right, guys. So here we're looking at an in-ground Sangue Dolce fig tree, and this tree is basically like Chicago Hardy. It's very similar. They're the Mount Etna style figs. Hardiness wise, this has seen temperatures down to 5 degrees for a few hours and actually had minimal dieback. The only dieback was on these more green new tips, but the wood that was fully lignified did not die back. So lignification is a process by which the fig, the new growth, turns brown like wood, right? So all this brown growth is lignified. These tips though, how they're kind of green, have not fully lignified. They're still green growth. So in colder weather, they will take damage, but a Chicago Hardy or Mount Etna style fig tree that is fully lignified can really survive down to 5 degrees. I've seen this location for a few hours. Now, in South Jersey, we have more mild winters than even places like New York or North Jersey. So if you're anywhere above 7A or 7B, you should probably look into wrapping your fig trees that are in ground. Now, there's many different methods you can do with this. One method people like to do to protect their fig trees is to bend and cover. So I'll demonstrate. You take your branch, and I'd bend this thing all the way down. I'd keep bending down because they're bendy, right? I'm bending this all the way down, and I'd bend it down to about 2 inches, stake it in the ground, and I'd cover it with leaves, cover it with a tarp. And you can see we can do that with every piece here if we really wanted to. We would just bend this wood all the way down to its base, keep bending it down, keep bending it down. There's bushes here, but we'd bend it down all the way to the bottom, stake it in the ground, and cover it with a tarp, some leaves, some hay, keep it insulated in the ground. The second tip you guys can do to protect these is to cut and cover. This is seen on Ross Raddy's channel, the chop and drop kind of. He has greenhouse to set up, so personally I don't recommend this one. You're gonna cut it down about to a foot high, not even, maybe like you'd cut here, and you would just cover it with a tarp again. That works, but then you're restarting all your growth for the next year. I'd rather preserve as much of this wood as possible. So the third thing that you can do is you can wrap it. So by wrapping it, it's very simple. You're gonna take all your limbs, right? You're gonna combine them here, right? So we'll get these guys like this. We'll bring him in here. Take some twine, tie this up, and wrap some burlap around it and put a tarp on top. So that's what you would do for this. And you really only need to wrap the in-ground fig trees if they are really going to see temperatures that do go below 5 to 10 degrees for a longer period of time. So that's kind of the fig tree winter care. If we come over here, I'll keep this video rolling for you guys here. We do have some younger trees that are in pots in the garage, and this is something that I recommend. So if you have trees that are younger, they're first year trees, they're second year trees, definitely recommend keeping them in pots. So here's one that's been in the garage. It's a Smith tree. You can see it's a lot more green if we come closer here. A lot more green to it, right? This is something that we want to keep in the garage regardless of how cold it's getting, because we want this to, you know, stay healthy, stay safe from the cold temperatures, the cold drying winds. And if we see here in my garage, which is a little bit messy because we're doing some things in the house, but you might not be able to see it, but back here, all these younger trees, a lot of them are smaller, or some trees like Smith that are really cold sensitive are back here. You can see that these trees are smaller, they're younger trees that are sitting back here. I like to get them at least a year or two established before I will put them in the ground. So yeah, that's kind of all the fig tree care that you guys should be doing. Again, don't let them get below 15 degrees Fahrenheit to be safe, or 20 degrees, and if you're having them out in pots, bring them into a garage, press them up against a wall, throw a tarp over them. And for in-ground, depends on your variety. So any questions, just drop me some comments. It is important to care for your fig trees in the winter. Some varieties don't need to be, some do, so just check out your variety online, look it up. But that's kind of the main fig tree care tips that you can do. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Happy New Year. Thank you. All right, guys, so before we wrap it up, just one thing I want to clear up. Again, these potted trees, their roots, because they're above ground, they're exposed to the air temperature. They can't go below 15 degrees Fahrenheit. The benefit with in-ground is that the ground is warm. There is warmth coming from the core of the earth. A lot of that heat stays into the ground. So when you put your trees in ground, the roots usually will stay warmer. That's why a lot of times the trees will die back from the top and come up from their roots, because the roots stay warmer. So you can get away with the in-ground trees better. Whereas the ones that are in pot are exposed to the outside ambient air temperatures, which can kill them. So I just wanted to clear that up, that is why that the roots won't die in an in-ground tree when they do in an out-of-ground tree. But that's it, guys.